With that shutdown, 750,000 government workers are at risk of being furloughed. That's according to the Congressional Budget Office. Social Security benefits and Medicare are staying open. You'll receive benefits. SNAP programs are operating as usual. Applications might be delayed, but life has to go on even during a shutdown. So staying in contact with landlords, utility companies is crucial if you think you'll be late on a payment. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger talked with the anchors of CBS Mornings about why this could be a time to make drastic decisions.
First of all, we know that the most direct impact are federal workers, in the military, these workers, people who are deemed essential, who have to show up to work and not get paid. I can't put a finer point on this, that the personal financial lives of these people has been upended, and it's intense. So with hundreds of thousands of people being out of work, some being forced to go to work without pay, it could cause a little bit of a dent in the economy. But I don't think that's the issue. I actually think it's a much more personal issue, that these people are going to struggle, and the people where they shop are going to struggle. And although those wages get paid back usually when the government reopens, that doesn't help you if you're fighting with your landlord. It depends how long this lasts. I mean, for every week this goes on, people are going to struggle. They're going to dip into their savings. What I hope they don't do is go into credit card debt. Hopefully they have some savings that they can access. Maybe you actually pull some money and borrow it from your retirement plan if you're feeling the pinch. That's something we should consider.
Joining us now is CBS News' Erica Brown at the White House. So, Erica, tell us what the mood is like there after hearing from Vice President J.D. Vance.
Yeah, we just heard from Jill Schlesinger a few seconds ago talking about the personal financial strain that this shutdown could have on federal workers. And here at the White House, the vice president made a special appearance during the White House press briefing, and he noted some of those federal workers, those agencies that are requiring their employees to come to work without being paid, in his push to get Democrats to come to the table, pass this short-term bill, and reopen the government. But what we're seeing here in Washington as this standoff continues is the continued blame game. Both parties continue to blame the other for this shutdown. On Capitol Hill, Democrats are standing firm. They still are pushing for these concessions on health care that they say are critical for millions of Americans to be able to receive health benefits. They want that to be a part of any agreement. But Republicans, are saying we need to get the government open. Let's pass a short-term spending bill and get to those negotiations later. So the blame game is the name right now, but there is a sense of urgency, understanding that there are hundreds of thousands of federal workers caught in the crosshairs.
Well, it doesn't sound like there's been any movement, but have you heard any updates that there's potentially a negotiation going on?
There could be. So there was a bipartisan group of senators today on Capitol Hill who are discussing paths forward, ways that they could potentially come to an agreement, open the government, and continue negotiations on health care. But listen to what Vice President J.D. Vance had to say about what the White House is doing to try to get Democrats on board.
You talk about what you're doing, what the administration is doing to try to get other Senate Democrats to vote to open the government.
Yeah, we're talking to a number of our colleagues, Democratic and Republican, in the Senate. I talked to a number of them last night. The president, of course, is talking to them as well. I think there really are two categories of demands that I've seen privately from congressional Democrats. I think on the one hand, those who are negotiating in good faith are saying, look, we just want to make sure that we're able to have a conversation with the administration about some of the critical needs that we see that need to get fixed over the next few months. We recognize it's kind of absurd, and a lot of them will admit in private that it's kind of absurd to shut down the people's government over these disagreements, but just agree to negotiate with us in good faith on these issues. And of course, we're having that conversation with them.
All right, Erica, thank you. Of course, they couldn't come to an agreement, so what happens now?
Well, until they reach an agreement and actually vote on that agreement in the Senate, they need at least 60 votes for that to pass. And before it heads to the president's desk, the shutdown will continue. And I will tell you, in terms of scheduling, the Senate Majority Leader today said that there isn't another vote scheduled on the Senate floor until Friday afternoon. So now we're looking at a little less than 48 hours before senators have another opportunity to cast their votes to keep the government open. So for now, the government shutdown will continue for at least another day, but they have to reach reach this agreement, bring it to the Senate floor, get 60 votes, which means bipartisan support for it before it heads to the president's desk to reopen the government. Back to you.
All right, a lot of information there, Erica. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us. We appreciate you.
Well, we know the weather doesn't stop during a government shutdown either. The National Weather Service, which is part of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, announced on its website that it will, quote, continue to provide critical forecast, watch and warning information to protect life and property throughout the shutdown. Though the agencies are eluding furloughs, which was the case with previous shutdowns, things are a little bit different this time. Since hundreds of experienced staff members were laid off, took early retirement incentives as the Trump administration aims to shrink the federal government, this could disrupt storm preparedness. Managers are working to plug gaps in staffing by hiring new forecasters or moving meteorologists around, but of course all of that will take time. NOAA says it has enough staff to accurately predict tropical storms and hurricanes by staffing coastal offices in the path of Imelda, which of course is hooking out towards the Bahamas and the Outer Banks of North Carolina.